Now, I would consider myself a car guy, even though I focus more on traditional, average, everyday cars, for people like you and me, but, different but same nonetheless. And if you ask other car guys on the internet, they will constantly lament to you about how modern cars are terrible, they're getting so much worse, and they suck. And for some, the answer to this is buying a cheap, used luxury car. That way you can look like the big baller that you are, have, a nice, hopefully reliable vehicle that looks luxurious, that hopefully is luxurious, and that will last forever. But some people take this the wrong way and end up buying a lump of lard. So to start out this video series, which should contain 3 or 4 parts, I'm going to start out with a cautionary tale from my personal family. These were the cars my grandparents had around 2009. Now, my grandparents have this tradition where they'll both go out at the same time and buy different cars like the same day. They go out in a family outing, they take the kids, they try out the cars, and they end up buying one. My grandmother drove the Honda Odyssey. My grandfather wanted something sleek and fashionable and fun, but she wouldn't let him get a regular Camry, so instead they got the Camry Wagon V6. He was happy with it, and she was happy with all the extra space it provided for his work and, various other activities that they performed in. These cars were doing pretty well, but by 2009, with a family being run through them, or at least a bunch of grandkids, they weren't looking so hot anymore. Their youngest had finally left the house, and they simply didn't have a need for these utilitarian vehicles anymore. So they went out to the Toyota dealership out in Oregon and said, hey, I want this car for my husband, I want this car, I have these needs, this and this and this and this and this, and it was up to the salesman to find cars that suited them. My grandmother, having had put up with front-wheel drive for way too long, wanted something with all-wheel drive. She wanted something familiar. She wanted just a nice car that she was going to like that had all-wheel drive and maybe a V6 sprinkled in there. So she decided to go with the Toyota Venza, which I may say is an excellent choice. It was exactly like the old Odyssey. It was essentially a minivan, but it had 2 normal doors, and it didn't have a third row taking up space because, well, she really didn't need it. It had plenty of room in the back for groceries, and it was really the perfect car for her. My grandpa finally got that Camry he wanted, an XLE V6. These cars are fantastic, and guess what? When they passed away, my sisters are currently driving these cars, and I'm sure they will last them a very long time. They were both from 2009, and they have no issues. 0 issues. Original, I think they have like 250,000 miles on the Camry and like 300,000 on the Venza. It's been a while. It's been like 20 years. And these cars have always been reliable, and we don't have a need to get rid of them because when they died, we just inherited them, and they drove them as their everyday cars, and there's not an issue with them. This was a good choice on their part. Good Japanese cars that will last forever. Now let's go to grandparents set number 2, who made the mistake of trying to buy a used luxury car just to relax a little bit. But, they walked into the door of some sleazeball who led them astray. My other set of grandparents at the time was driving this generation Chrysler Town & Country, which was fine. It was a great van, no issues with it. And then my grandfather had the blob-eyed Ford Taurus that he had bought a while ago. These cars were fine, but they were American, so they didn't quite last as long as the Camry wagon and the original Honda Odyssey, lasted. So they decided to get new ones, new cars around 2017. My grandfather decided to splurge for once in his life and get himself a brand new 2017 Ford Edge, which he loves, and he still has today. My grandmother, however, she made a bad choice. She decided that she didn't want to spend all the money on a new car, but she wanted an SUV. They lived in Florida. It was the SUV craze. The Oregonians, they were weird, but they got something right, and that was the SUV. She wanted an SUV too, but she didn't want to be cramped by the SUV lifestyle. To her, the SUVs were the Toyota RAV4s, like the, can't put anything in them. I want something family-oriented. So she ended up talking herself into an Infiniti QX50 from like 2013 or something. And this is the car that made me hate Infiniti. If it wasn't one thing, it was another with this damn car. It was made out of shit. Whenever you closed the door, the inside wooden trim pieces would either pop out or they would crack halfway through and then fall off. That happened on all 4 doors. It got 2 new transmissions, a new engine. That was partially her fault because she was not a maintainer of the engine, at least. The transmissions, no excuse. It only had 43,000 miles when she bought it, and she sold it, did we sell it or did we scrap it? I don't remember. And she got rid of it with like 136,000 miles and went through 2 transmissions and an engine in that time period. The interior, the leather, air quotes, the stitching started coming out of it. The car was just a total piece of shit. And that thing was just so steamingly terrible that that we had to get rid of that about 3 years after because she just couldn't take it anymore. And then because I was a car guy at this point, this is like a year ago, I was like, hey, why don't we get you into something good? Now she's in like a Lexus NX or whatever, hybrid, something, she likes it. But yeah, that car was a total piece of shit. And I cannot tell you how many times since I lived in Florida that I had to go down there and pick her up because her car was a piece of shit. Because it was a total piece of crap. So essentially, she wanted a luxury car, but she wanted something modern. She talked herself into this vehicle that ended up being a pile of crap. And that's what a lot of people do on the internet. So without any sponsorships, without any narrative, without just trying to get some more views and say, Lexus is great because it's great, I'm going to give you the top 5 compact cars. We're going to do a series here, right? Because I don't want it to be too long because I like to ramble. So we're going to start with compact cars. The top 5 best luxury compact cars you can buy used. Now, this car is an Acura ILX, essentially an Acura, Civic. Now, usually I'd rank these like 1 through 5. I'm not going to do that for this because I think they're all equally good in their own strengths. But this thing has something up its sleeve. This is a hybrid. That's right, for the model year 2012, they introduced the Acura ILX Hybrid, which was discontinued then in 2014. But you may think, oh, well, that's super rare. And it is. These are kind of sometimes a difficult, tough find. But if one of these can come up for sale in my local Ocklawaha dealership that I didn't even notice, then guess what? They're not that rare. And I've seen them online. They're very widely available, and they make fantastic cars. The Acura ILX is great. It's like a Civic, but it rides smoother, there's less cabin noise. It's just an improved Civic. It looks great from the outside. Now, the little caveat to this is that you don't really get any more room than the Civic. It's not like, wow, it's so much bigger back here. But that's kind of a good thing. If you want an Acura Civic, you don't actually want an Acura Accord, do you? I mean, you just want the car that you want. And this is great. So instead of buying just used Civic, try the ILX, and especially the hybrid. The hybrids, they were great models. They're very stylish. I think this is one of the best, most attractive looking cars Acura ever made, except for the steering wheel, which looks like celebrities after they get buccal fat removal. I mean, who thought that steering wheel looked good? And the silver is kind of gaudy. But other than that, aside from the interior, the rest of the car is one of the most attractive Acuras ever made. Acura's weird with the styling. Now, let me get the specs. And here we have the specs. Now, for the horsepower, is it particularly powerful? No, this isn't like a fast car that you're going to spin around the track, but it's a very nice car. This was one of the most modern Acuras ever made. It's gorgeous. The styling lines are good. It looks good in almost every color. Looks tight and needy, like needy and tight. Looks, finished around the back. Very nice design, very intuitive. The interior is luxurious. It may be a little hard on the eyes, but it's great to sit in and actually drive the car, which is really what matters. Again, towing capacity, you're not really supposed to tow with sedans, so it's a surprise. Oh no, it's not there. For 0 to 60 time, 10.8 seconds. That's Prius territory, but still, any car, when you floor it, is going to be fast enough. A lot of people talk about the 0 to 60 time. 12 seconds, that's the slowest thing I've ever seen. You do realize that 12 seconds from 0 to 60 miles an hour is good. Like when you take yourself out of the entire realm of Dodge Demons and Hellcats and just look at the average car or what the average person needs, 10.8 seconds is fast. And that's 0 to 60. That is fine. That is more than enough for the average person to speed up past the person, going slow in the fast lane or going fast, going fast in the slow lane. It's enough. It's enough to merge onto the freeway. You're not going to have any power issues. Now maybe if it's like 50 seconds, you're saying and then just, maybe that's not good. Maybe like an inline 3, when they count it in CC lawnmower engine. That's a little bit over the edge. But 10.8 seconds, not good. But where this car makes up for it is the range. 502 miles. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of miles to get out of one tank of gas. And considering gas is the cheapest here in America, literally out of everywhere on the planet, we have the cheapest gas. That's pretty good, 502 miles compared to other cars. My Toyota RAV4 only gets like 280, and the Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid only gets like 312. So 502 is a lot more than you think it does. The car has excellent range, and also, unlike the Prius, which I'll admit is kind of like a shitbox, it's very plasticky, it's not great to drive in, even though I love the car, this is actually nice to ride around in. This is a car that I would sincerely recommend to everybody, just as all cars are that I recommend to people, because, I can't be bought. Or maybe I could. I don't know. No one's tried yet, so we'll find out when they do, which will likely never happen. Now on to the 6th generation Lexus ES. There was also a hybrid version of this, the Lexus ES 350, Lexus ES 300H, and the Lexus ES 350. Now this started production in 2012 and ended production about 2018 with gradual facelifts along the way. Now a lot of people, when they buy used cars, they like to buy a used Camry, but I say, why not buy a used Lexus? By now, the Lexus ESs and the Toyota Camrys have pretty much evened out in price. This is maybe $100 to $300 more than your average Camry, but you get a lot more. You get interior quality. You may not get a touchscreen, which came in the Camry, then you get Lexus's stupid iDrive system. I think that's what BMW calls it. It's one of those stupid touchpad things. But the interior quality is great, the exterior quality is great, and the car is hopelessly classy. I mean, it is really a fantastic automobile, and they still look great in 2025. If you pulled this up, I mean, aside from noticing the split in the little, hourglass shape in the front of the grille, I really couldn't tell you if this was, 10 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old. It really does not look as old as it is. And not to say that it's a grandpa or anything, but it still follows modern Lexus design languages, and that makes it still very modern looking and very classy. Alright, here are some of the images after the facelift. I believe there were 2 facelifts for this model. This is around 2016. And still, again, this, now that they removed the bar in the middle of the hourglass, it looks like a brand new Lexus ES. I mean, I really could not tell the difference. It's a timeless car, it's an excellent car, and here are the stats for the regular V6 3.5 liter and the hybrid. So stuff there, less horsepower with the hybrid, but, better miles per gallon, better range. 760 miles of range. That's good. That's really good. My car, my Toyota RAV4 is like 280 miles of range, so 760, that'd be pretty nice. All right, moving on. The Acura TSX, but especially the Sport Wagon. Now, this one is kind of interesting. The Acura TSX is just a Honda Accord. Now, a lot of you are going to say, wait a minute, something's not making sense here. Because the only, hatchback wagon version of the Accord was the Accord Cross Tour. And there was an Acura called the Acura ZDX, which is now a shitty EV, but back then was just the Honda Accord Cross Tour with an Acura badge on it. So, if this isn't a Honda Accord Cross Tour, but it's a Honda Accord, why is it a wagon? Well, because this is actually a JDM Honda Accord wearing Acura clothes. This is the European and JDM version wagon of the Honda Accord. Wagon, not hatchback, wagon. So the Acura TSX from 2009 to 2014 was JDM European. So you're not going to find a regular Honda Accord wagon like this in the States, which would be neat. And that's what makes this thing so special. It's essentially a JDM Honda Accord wearing an Acura badge. You get so much more luxuriousness. It's more luxurious. You get plenty of trunk space. For a luxury car, these hold up extremely well. And they're overall fantastic cars to drive. I never see these around. They're not that rare. The regular Acura TSX was great too. But the wagon, it's a stander-outer. And because no one thinks of it that way, it's called the Acura TSX Sport Wagon. They actually make the, the Subaru, the WRX Sport Wagon in Australia and a few other European countries. So yeah, sport wagons are pretty common over there. I wish they were more common over here, but hey, what are you going to do? Alright, well, here we are. It could also be optioned with a V6. These are the specs here. The wagon was only offered from 2011 to 2014. Didn't sell that well. Kind of rare, a little bit rare. The sedan was sold from 2008 to 2014. Now, the wagon was only sold with the inline 4, but if you're really, and I mean really enthusiastic about the Acura TSX Sport Wagon, an engine transfer, engine swap really wouldn't be that too hard or expensive. This is my favorite Acura. It's great. It's a JDM Honda Civic. They ride well. I think they're the prettiest Acura sedan because now they have those big, gaudy grills, and back then they had the weird parrot beak. This thing, it looks a lot better. It looks like some of the other ones, they just look like an infected parrot with a bunch of sores. You know what I mean with that point? This one is done more classy. There's something so scrumptious about it, so forbidden. It was an excellent wagon. It was an excellent vehicle, and they're still great today. The V6 is more, if you're feeling more sporty, but the inline 4 gets pretty decent gas mileage, and you get decent range. So, pretty good. They also have, towing capacity of 1,000 pounds, which, when equipped properly, don't tow, unless it's small, you're not going to tow another car or something else with this, so just don't even bother. Yeah, but they're great cars. Now, moving on. Let me know what you think of the Sport Wagon. This is one of my favorite Acuras. It's going to be car of the week. It just has to be car of the week, at least some point in history. Okay, the Lexus CT. This is a car that a lot of people like, and as soon as I say what it actually is, people are going to hate it, but just enjoy the way that it looks. Now, it's a hybrid, and that means because it's a Toyota product, it's a Toyota Prius wearing Lexus clothing. but it's a good car. You know, hybrid used cars are great. The engines don't get as much use. The parts are easier to find. A lot of the Toyota Prius batteries and stuff are still in production, which means this thing is going to have a really long life compared to other hybrids, you know, especially other luxury hybrids. Like, the hybrid system for this was put in everything, so parts are going to be very widely available. Now, even with the F-Sport, it's still going to have 0 to 60 time of about 9.8 seconds, with Car and Driver testing it just a little bit under 10.1. But it's still a good car. I mean, it's reliable. The interior is very luxurious. It looks very sporty. The 2012 to, like, 2014, before the facelift, this is the facelifted version from 2015 to 2017. That model looked kind of dopey, but, you know, just look at this. Those are also still good cars, but they weren't really optioned as commonly. They weren't as common to find with the touchscreen radio. No, not touchscreen. You didn't get a screen with them. You just had the standard radio, which was what the Prius was doing, and so that's what Lexus did. And the radio was great. So I would get the navigation if you could, which was a lot, like, extremely, infinitely more popular with the facelifted version. So with that, let's get on to specs. And here are the specs. They're not bad, and here is some photos of the pre-facelifted version. Do I think it's a good car? Yes, of course. These cars are excellent. They're fantastic hybrids. They're great. But I wouldn't buy this if you're planning to be the prettiest car at the party. You know, it's not a great-looking car, but I think there's some design elements that I appreciate. I just think it's a little bit too blunt around the front and around the back. I much prefer the facelifted version, which is not that much more expensive, but it does add a solid $200-$300 onto the price if you're getting the facelifted version. They were produced between 2013 and 2018, with most of them being sold as 2017s. Yeah, there's not a whole lot more to say. Now on to the cooler cousin, which I'm counting as kind of the same car, like with the, they're basically the same car, but they are entirely different in every single way. You know. I am going to get hate for this, but I think, excluding the Prius, because the Prius isn't the best looking, it's kind of just different, and I appreciate the Prius for being weird, but it doesn't look, like, beautiful. I would say this is the prettiest Toyota hybrid ever created. People are going to go with the LS, this stuff. Look at the back of it. This car was a Prius in a sedan, and before you click away, this thing was fast. This thing had I believe it had a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. The Prius had a 1.8-liter. That's a lot of points of liters you're adding to that, which really helped the 0 to 60, but we'll get to that in a second. This car was sporty. It was surprisingly stout. One of my friends found this at, like, a local dealership somewhere in Oregon when we were in high school. I bought my Prius. He bought this thing because he liked the Prius, but he wanted to go luxury because, he was kind of, I'm not going to get into it. And he got one of these. And when I drove that thing, that thing is sweet. I mean, it's not a sports car. You're not going to go to, you're going, I'm blown away. But on those Oregon back roads, this thing, it was stout. And from the back, it's beautiful. Now, the only issue is the interior. It's got a chinny chin chin chin. As an automotive, dare I say journalist, it's kind of my job to crap on cars, but there are a few cars that I'll constantly run defense for, just constantly. That's the Prius and this car. That chinny chin 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 is bad. It's probably the worst Lexus interior Lexus has ever created, aside from some of the earlier models, because those were just not good. But other than that, the outside of the car, magnifique, beautiful. Okay, and when I say this car is fast, I mean this car was fast. It could beat the Hyundai Veloster, Toyota Celica, Mazda MX-5 Miata, Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, Volkswagen Jetta GLI. This is not a slow car, and because they replaced that small little 1.8 liter with a 2.4 liter, I mean, it's good. It's good. It's pretty stout. I also have a video here just to really emphasize the acceleration. Okay, excuse the bad footage, but just watch this. Yeah, there we go. A freeze. There we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, it's a lot more dramatic with the noise, but he was playing music, so I had to cut it out. Great video. You try finding a better one, but yeah, stout. And now, two cars at once. They're both separate cars, but really they're kind of the same car. The Volvo S40 and V50. The V50 is the wagon version of the S40. There's also the C30, but I don't like that one as much. These cars are great. They're great for hauling stuff. They're great for just being a car. They're very reliable. The only issue is they're kind of hard to replace the stereo on, since it's a split stereo where you have the navigation pop-up screen on some models and the radio, and it's all very separate. Also, a lot of people look at that interior and they go, that's a shitty interior. That's crappy. But this ties back to something that I've been whining about for a while. Nobody really knows what luxury is anymore. Does the interior have an 8.5-inch touchscreen that's going to crap out in 2 years? No. But it has real wood. This screen, that little screen there, like not the big one, not the navigation one, the small one in the center console, that screen is high resolution enough to show a good picture of the car, to show a decently clear version of the car. So it's not a crappy screen. It's not like people look at screens that size and they think, oh, it's going to be shitty, it's going to be crappy, it's going to go, the Bluetooth device. It's not like that at all. It's very reliable. It's great. It's a good screen. It's a great interior, because that's the first thing. Oh, that interior's not good enough. Does that even have CarPlay? No, but trust me, it's good enough. Just sit in one, use the radio, and trust me, it's one of the best radios ever created, even if it doesn't have a 7.5-inch Jeep shitty delaminated touchscreen. Alright, now these cars were sold from 2003 up until 2012. They had some minor updates, they just changed the front, separated the front two grills, added fog lights, not a whole lot of stuff. But what's really important here is the specs. You can get an inline 5. I just want to say that. I love inline 5s. Inline 5s are great. The V5 Volkswagen, that was stupid. Inline 5s, Volvo, used them and everything. They were great. And also, 6.7 seconds. Sorry, I forgot it's not 2025 anymore. Yeah, 6.7 seconds for the R design. That's good. They also could come in all-wheel drive, which was pretty nice, too. 2.5-liter turbo in the car that size? It's pretty good. It can also tow a very good amount. 2,000 pounds, 3,300 pounds. That's like the weight of a Prius. Like, that's a good amount, at least a second generation. And yeah, range, pretty good. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, I will sing it from the mountaintops. These are always great, fantastic first cars, and they're great cars permanently. If you just want, like, a luxury car, Volvos are great. They're always going to be great. They're always going to be reliable. Parts, they're always going to be there. Not really as popular as, like, you're not going to be able to walk into an AutoZone and say, hey, give me a, Volvo S40 radiator or whatever. They're probably not going to happen like you could with some other cars, like more popular cars. But it's always going to be a great car nonetheless. And yeah. Alright, well, this is the end of the video. I'm glad that I made a video on luxury cars, and hopefully I'll get around to making the other ones for SUVs and big sedans and stuff. This is the C30 that you're watching, the fun hatchback, the fun hot hatch. Yeah, all these cars were nice. And really, when you buy a luxury car, stay to the major 3 good brands. Acura, which, like, they all have their hubrises. They all have their sins, Acura's sin is that they're ugly. Lexus's sin is that they're overpriced. And Volvo's sin is parts availability, and that's it. Reliability, safety, everything else is fine. So, you always take a trade-off, no matter what luxury car you buy. More a trade-off than you would take if you just bought, like, from a normal car brand. But having a luxury car is nice. You get those extra touches, you get that extra interior quality, and you don't break the bank, and you look nice driving. So, I mean, who is really going to argue with that? Who's going to say, well, no. It doesn't matter. They're all great cars. No bad choices here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you all real soon. And let's hope I all get out of my procrastination phase and keep making videos.